When returned home for their 9th anniversary, Tiffany, his former assistant, provocatively sent me 2 photos. The first was 9 pages of my love letter, which I'd sent him that afternoon, pleading with him to have dinner with me. The dense words, every punctuation mark, trampled my self-respect and dignity underfoot. The second photo showed a half-exposed hand gently supporting her waist at the top of a Ferris wheel. The caption read, "Ha ha ha, this is the man other women crave and can't have." It was followed by a smug emoji. I only paused for a moment before I saw through Tiffany's trick with a laugh. Marcus feared nothing except heights. Moreover, a single rotation on the Ferris wheel took half an hour, and he always valued every second. It absolutely couldn't have been him. When I was pregnant, the Marcus family prepared the penthouse maternity suite for me. Marcus canceled 3 international meetings and, bracing himself, came up to keep me company. But he accidentally glimpsed out the window, fainted on the spot, and didn't wake up until after I had given birth. Though his nature was cold, he was ultimately different with me. Thinking of this, my smile softened, and I called him to ask when his meeting would end and he would come home. But the moment he spoke, a chill ran through me. I was all too familiar with that voice, the slight tremor unique to him when he had acrophobia. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. Mr. Marcus isn't coming back? No, I won't wait for him. As my hoarse voice fell, the expressions of the wealthy wives around me instantly turned amused. In the deathly silence, someone scrolled on their phones first. The photos of the 9-page love letter spread wildly, accompanied by hushed snickers. Ah, Mr. Marcus doesn't gamble or womanize, and he's managed a multi-billion-dollar corporation for 3 years. He's truly the most capable second-generation heir in T. He city's elite circles. How many people envy Grace's good fortune? Good fortune? Do you want this kind of good fortune? 9 pages of paper can't even buy one dinner. What a disgrace. I didn't endure it as I had before. Instead, I calmly instructed Helen to see the guests out. The entire hall fell silent, everyone staring at me in astonishment. As if they didn't recognize this usually docile Mrs. Marcus. The next second, the furious discussions exploded like a boiling pot. A gold digger is still a gold digger. No matter how much she tries to play the lady, she'll always revert to type, and someone will expose her. She won't move, will she? She just got pregnant with a second one. She'll definitely pretend nothing happened and live with a cuckold's crown. I bet $1 million she wouldn't even dare mention it to Mr. Marcus. They giggled as they brushed past me, certain I couldn't do anything to them. But they didn't know. Just now, I had sent the recording to William, who cared most about the Marcus family's reputation, and had already scheduled an abortion. When came home in the early morning, I was gazing absently at a paparazzi video. As the Ferris wheel reached its peak, fireworks burst, and Marcus tenderly kissed Tiffany's forehead, like a pair of lovers. Marcus coldly blocked my view. What's gotten into you, acting crazy late at night? Do you know how much time I wasted dealing with the mess you left? I was slightly stunned, an unspeakable bitterness welling up inside me. He showed no guilt for leaking my love letter. His eyes were only filled with annoyance that I had encroached on his precious time. After 9 years of marriage, he always claimed to be busy with work, giving me pitifully little time. For all our anniversaries, his assistant chose and delivered the gifts to me. Even half a year ago, when I was severely injured in a car accident and the doctor explicitly stated there was a risk of paralysis and required my husband's signature, he only paused, then calmly said, "I'll support her for life even if she's paralyzed." Then he had the technical department create an e-signature for the agreement. For the 6-hour surgery, only that cold signature accompanied me. But tonight, he had cancelled work to spend a full 30 minutes on the Ferris wheel with Tiffany. He even conquered the acrophobia that my childbirth couldn't make him overcome. At this moment, I could no longer, and didn't want to, deceive myself. Blinking hard at my sore eyes, I reached out to him. "Give me back my love letter." ####Chapter 2. His face went blank for a moment. Then I understood. My 9-page love letter wasn't just a joke to amuse Tiffany. It had probably been thrown away as trash long ago. I smiled. Without further hesitation, I messaged my lawyer directly, asking him to draft divorce papers for me. Seeing that I remained silent, Marcus didn't take it seriously. He even showed satisfaction in his eyes that I had learned my lesson. As if he was certain that a mere orphan like me wouldn't cause trouble, much less dare to argue with him. He acted as if nothing was wrong, tossing me a fish that was still flapping. "The girl wants to eat fish. Outside food isn't clean. Make your specialty fish soup, pack it for me tomorrow morning." Seeing the lingering bloodstains on his hands, I froze instantly. He detested the smell of fish more than anything. The 2 times I was pregnant and craved seafood, he always sent me out to satisfy my craving, and I never blamed him. Yet now, he willingly overcame it for Tiffany. He had even forgotten that after I became pregnant, I was extremely drowsy and would struggle with insomnia the entire night if I woke even once. And this fish soup required a full 6 hours of simmering. I won't make it. The words had barely left my mouth when a wave of nausea surged up my throat, and I stumbled into the bathroom. Grace, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? The urgent footsteps behind me halted abruptly when a distinctive ringtone sounded. Finally, they turned towards his study. Oh, darling, when will you finally say you love me? You know, I love to hear that. My fingernails dug into the sink, and the woman in the mirror wept. 20 years ago, on a twilight evening, I pulled Marcus, drenched, from a pond. His parents' family's business alliance had broken down, their interests cleanly severed, and neither wanted the burden of a child. The boy's eyes were lifeless. No one likes me. Why am I alive? I cupped his face and repeated, that's not true, I like you. I fell for you the moment you saved me from the human traffickers. That's why, for 9 years of marriage, I wrote thick love letters every year, and forgave his naturally cold disposition. But it turned out he was so different with another woman. I smiled softly. As the ardent body pressed against mine, for the first time, I pushed him away. He froze, a trace of disbelief flickering in his eyes. His hand instinctively reached for my forehead. Confirming I didn't have a fever, suppressed anger finally slowly surfaced. Do you think I'm interested in Tiffany because she's young and beautiful? Because she knows how to socialize and go to bed? Let me tell you, no. I appreciate her emotional stability, her thoughtfulness and understanding. If you hadn't been so suspicious all day, clinging to hotel receipts like a madwoman, why would our daughter have gone crazy and jumped off a building? Let me be frank. Tiffany is already pregnant, so I stopped your birth control. If you can't get pregnant again, don't blame me for bringing her into our home. My temples throbbed uncontrollably. In 9 years, Marcus had never celebrated our daughter's birthday. He missed her first steps, her first papa. He wasn't even there when she was hospitalized with high fever pneumonia. Our daughter suffered from autism due to a prolonged lack of fatherly love. Her last question was, Daddy isn't here, where can I find Daddy? Fearing would feel guilty, I swallowed all the bitter pills alone through countless nights of tear-soaked pillows. I even desperately took ovulation shots, sought his affection, pathologically hoping for a chance to reunite with our daughter. But I never imagined my many years of infertility were because he deemed me unfit to be a mother. How dare he say it so righteously? I laughed softly. Then, I took out the divorce papers and calmly handed them to him. Marcus, let's get a divorce. You can bring anyone you want home. I thought he would be pleased by my understanding. But after a moment of stunned silence, he sneered, I hate it when people try to play games with me. The door slammed shut with a bang. This was his unilateral declaration of the silent treatment. I didn't cling desperately or humbly seek reconciliation as I usually did. After confirming my flight for the next morning, I turned off my phone and went to sleep. Until I was awakened in the middle of the night by the frantic knocking of the butler. Mrs. Marcus, something's wrong at Hillside. Chapter 3. My heart clenched instantly. The storage room at Hillside was where I kept my daughter's ashes and mementos. It was precisely because I was certain Marcus's acrophobia would prevent him from bringing a mistress here that I dared to store my most precious things there. How could things catch fire so suddenly after I'd just finished organizing them? I ignored the laughter from the front yard pool and rushed straight to the storage room in the backyard. But amidst the thick smoke, the storage room door was locked by the fire safety system, and only Marcus's palm print could unlock it. I trembled as I dialed Marcus's number. Once, twice, 11 times, all hung up. On the 12th attempt, he finally picked up, his voice laced with a triumphant laziness. What, only coming to beg me now? I waited half an hour for you. Too bad, it's too late. I'm on my way to pick up Tiffany now. Anything in a week, there's no time. My voice tore, my daughter's ashes and mementos are in there. The fire's about to reach them. On the other end of the line, there was a moment of silence. Then, he scoffed. Grace, what trick are you playing now? Trying to annoy me on purpose? You know I'll make a fool of myself climbing up high. Hillside? I'd rather die than go there. Before he finished speaking, the call was disconnected. When I tried again, his phone was off. That soft, mechanical female voice felt like a heavy hammer hitting my heart. I numbly gripped the fire axe, using all my strength to smash the electronic lock. 1 swing. 2 swings. Sparks flew, and the blood from my torn palm dyed the axe handle red. Dust swirled, and I coughed, unable to straighten my back, as pathetic as a stray dog. Behind me, however, came a short, pleased laugh. Grace. I spun around. Under the scattered moonlight, Tiffany's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. She was elegantly dressed, no longer the pitiful girl who knelt on the ground begging Mrs. Marcus for sponsorship. If you could climb from a small assistant to Mrs. Marcus's position, Mr. Marcus has no reason not to let me take your place. I couldn't be bothered with her ambiguous words, my sole focus on opening that door. Unexpectedly, she giggled. As repayment for your kindness back then, I'll help you get him to come up the hill. I sneered. Marcus's acrophobia was extreme, the Ferris wheel was his limit. Climbing a mountain was impossible. What's more, his phone was off. Before I could finish my thought, Tiffany dialed his business number. My lips trembled, and the iron axe clanged to the ground. The night my daughter jumped, in her dying moments, she wanted to see her father one last time. I desperately called his private number, but it wouldn't connect. I broke my rule and called this number. But he didn't even give me a chance to speak, immediately blocking me. This phone only took calls for deals worth tens of millions. But now, his tender response came through the receiver. Don't worry, I'll be right there. People gradually gathered around. My body, covered in dust and tears, drew whispers of snickering. But I didn't feel embarrassed. Only sorrow for my daughter, who couldn't even see her father one last time. The cheers from the crowd made Tiffany's smugness hard to hide. Be smarter this time. The position that doesn't belong to you, vacate it early. Otherwise, she lowered her voice, enunciating each word, the tragedy at Maplewood will happen again. #####, chapter 4. I almost went mad. Tears streamed uncontrollably. Before she joined the Marcus, she was my daughter's kindergarten teacher. No wonder my daughter jumped after her autism had improved. By the time I reacted, my hand was already on Tiffany's neck. But before I could exert force, a powerful shove from behind sent me flying. As my abdomen hit the ground with a heavy thud, I caught a glimpse of a scene that made me both cry and laugh. Marcus's arm was bleeding profusely, a butterfly knife still lodged in it. To overcome his acrophobia, he had resorted to self-harm to stay alert. What did 9 years with me and our daughter mean to him? Tiffany, her face streaked with tears, huddled into his arms and tugged on his sleeve. I wanted to help Mrs. Marcus put out the fire, but she kicked my belly. It hurts so much. Will something happen to our baby? Marcus seemed not to notice my disheveled state, only tenderly stroking the 3 shoe prints on Tiffany's belly, a look of grief on his face. He wouldn't listen to any of my explanations, his hardened eyes filled with disappointment. He pointed at me and furiously said, I wondered why you agreed so readily, pretending to let her move in to rest during her pregnancy. So you had it all planned out. And I thought that since you were still Mrs. Marcus, I wouldn't let anyone supersede you. Now, I'll teach you how to be a virtuous and tolerant Mrs. Marcus. Those aren't my ass. Ho Prince. My eyes stung, and I tremblingly pointed at the burning storage room. Do you know what she did to our daughter? But before I could finish, a bodyguard delivered a heavy kick to my stomach. The intense pain made me instantly curl up, cold sweat beading on my skin, unable to utter a single word. More and more people were drawn to the scene. They formed a circle, watching like a show, unleashing sneering laughter. How vicious, to lay hands on a pregnant woman. Even though it's a girl, Mr. Marcus treasures her incredibly. His entire executive office is carpeted, and high heels are absolutely forbidden. That's not all. He accompanies her to every prenatal checkup, and I heard he even specially hired a master to choose a name, Lily, Tiffany's Chi. They chewed on gossip gleefully, no one noticing that the flames behind them had already reached my daughter's urn. I used my last ounce of strength to reach out, pleading with Marcus through tears. Marcus, I don't want to be Mrs. Marcus anymore. Please, open the door. My daughter's ashes are in there, and her diary. If you read it, you'll understand everything. A flicker of hesitation crossed Marcus's eyes. But at that moment, Tiffany, as if greatly frightened, pointed at the axe in front of me, her eyes misty with tears. Sister just tried to use that to chop me to death. She said I was carrying a bastard and didn't deserve to live. Mr. Marcus, didn't you say doing good deeds brings good karma? Marcus's eyes hardened, as if remembering something, and he gritted his teeth. You know how much I look forward to my daughter returning. Besides, if Tiffany hadn't saved me back then, I'd be dead already. No one can hurt her. A second heavy kick landed. The muffled crack of breaking ribs mixed with the coppery taste surging in my throat, and a warm gush flowed beneath me. I heard Gray stopped at nothing to climb to the top, writing cheap talk like I love you every day, even sleeping with Mr. Marcus's driver. TSK tisk, otherwise, how could an orphan like her become Mrs. Marcus? Those voices seemed to come from far away, and I vaguely thought, had also saved Marcus's life? That year, after pulling him from the icy lake, I had intended to leave quietly. But, the Marcus family patriarch, personally came to my door and told me, "Good child, Marcus hasn't had a drop of water for 3 days. He'll only listen to you." My heart softened, and I stayed by his side for 6 months until his trauma-induced stress recovered. As I was leaving, he suddenly clutched my wrist in his sleep. "When I grow up, I'll marry you." For that one sentence, I gambled my entire life. I gave everything I had, finally reaching his side and becoming his wife. How laughable, in the end, he had forgotten everything. Ugh. I violently vomited a large mouthful of blood, and Marcus's face gradually blurred. In a daze, his hand seemed to lift slightly. His lips moved, as if he wanted to say something. But the bodyguard's third, crushing kick still landed hard on my now numb abdomen. All sounds and light instantly faded away from me. Only in the depths of the flames, a little girl stood far away. Smiling, she waved vigorously at me. Her lips moved silently, saying, "Goodbye, Mom." The heap behind me finally exploded with a bang, sending everyone screaming and scattering. In the chaos, the Marcus family's old butler frantically found Marcus. William said, "Mrs. Marcus is your savior. If she wants to leave, let her go." Marcus's eyes widened in shock, as if he hadn't understood, yet he instinctively pursed his lips. "Grace will never leave me." But when his gaze swept over the document in the butler's hand, he gasped, "How can this be an abortion appointment?" Chapter 5. The people the butler brought rushed into the burning building, the scene chaotic. But stood rigid like a statue, a strange curl on his lips. "Alfred, even Grandpa is helping her deceive me? Forging medical records, se. Ting the house on fire, all just to force me to leave Tiffany, right? Don't you think it's going too far, all of you conspiring to play such a trick?" Over the years, he had noticed that Grandpa had a particular fondness for Grace. Even when their daughter died due to Grace's alleged negligence, Grandpa never blamed her. Tiffany chuckled, adding a barb. "Mr. Marcus, don't be fooled by her. She ran to every infertility clinic, all to have your child. If she were truly pregnant, why wouldn't she tell you, and instead come up the hill to risk her life?" Every word she spoke seemed reasonable, but she was subtly fanning the flames. Marcus's heart inexplicably tightened, and he instinctively glanced at Tiffany. He caught the uncontrollable smugness at the corner of her mouth. Anxiety instantly seized his heart. "You," he had just begun to speak when the old butler suddenly yelled, bending over. He scooped up a handful of bloody mud and brought it before Marcus. "Young, look. Is this acting? Look. Look closely at what this is." Under the pale moonlight, the scent of blood intensely struck Marcus's nose. His face drained of color, unable to control himself. Then, he tremblingly took 2 steps towards me. "Why has William always favored Mrs. Marcus all these years? Young, have you forgotten everything completely? The person who jumped into the icy lake and pulled you out back then was Mrs. Marcus. She was your savior." Tiffany was instantly dumbfounded, never expecting that the savior she had meticulously impersonated for 9 months was me. Months ago, she had carefully planned to get into Marcus's bed while he was drunk. But afterward, he remained cold and never brought her out in public. She secretly became pregnant, hoping to climb her way up with the baby. His special assistant politely smiled, but handed her birth control pills. She was unwilling. Unwilling to be like past mistresses, dismissed with a mere few million once Marcus grew tired of them. She Clea. RLY came from the same humble background as Grace. If could do it, she could too. She gritted her teeth, spent all her savings investigating Marcus's past, and finally uncovered his deepest obsession. The white moonlight who saved his life but then disappeared. She boldly impersonated her, which indeed earned her his immense cherish, and even a child. Tiffany caressed her lower abdomen, forcefully steadying herself. "Mr. Marcus." My belly hurt so much, but had no patience to hear her finish. He didn't care about anything else, pushing her away and scooping up my unconscious body, rushing to the hospital. When stumbled out of a taxi and chased him to the hospital, her eyes were filled with panic as she watched the scene before her. Marcus, who usually remained unruffled even when mountains collapsed, was now anxiously gripping the doctor, babbling incessantly. The doctor said something with a grim expression. Marcus reeled back several steps, hitting the wall. Suddenly, he raised his hand and slapped himself hard across the face. His face was contorted with overt, desperate sadness. Tiffany licked her dry lips, pretending nothing had happened as she softly tried to comfort him. Mr. Marcus, don't cry. I love you, I really, really love you. Didn't you always want to hear me say it? I'll say it for you day and night. But before she could finish, her outstretched hand was slapped away by Marcus, who looked utterly disgusted. Get out. Tiffany broke down. How can you treat me like this? Have you forgotten I'm carrying Lily, the daughter you longed for? Have you forgotten the master said she was your deceased daughter reincarnated? Marcus's mind was reeling from the doctor's words. Grace had lost the baby. His eyes stung, nearly crying in public. He glanced at Tiffany, who was slumped on the ground, her face streaked with tears. His raised hand finally didn't fall. He turned and disconsolately instructed his subordinate. Take her to Cyprus. I don't want to see her until the child is born. #### Chapter 6. I don't know how long passed, but I finally opened my eyes. As soon as I regained consciousness, I felt pain throughout my body, as if it were falling apart. Even simple movements like lifting my hand were impossible. Marcus, beside me, woke almost instantly, his eyes bloodshot. He carefully tested the temperature of a bowl and brought it to my lips. Grace, you're finally awake. Is there anywhere else you're uncomfortable? You've been unconscious for 3 days. I've had someone simmering fish soup for you constantly. Would you like to try a bite? I blinked my dry eyes. Only 3 days? Yet I felt as if half a lifetime had passed. His unshaven face looked particularly haggard. But I didn't want to engage, so I simply closed my eyes. Grandpa had already promised me, once I recovered, he would send me somewhere Marcus couldn't find me. Marcus's eyes dimmed slightly when I remained silent. But he said nothing, just stubbornly held the bowl, as if still waiting for me to soften as I had before. But I didn't indulge him. Gathering some strength, I lifted my hand. The bowl of fresh fish soup splashed all over Marcus's head and face. The surrounding nurses gasped, but Marcus, with scallions on his head, acted as if nothing had happened. He meticulously checked that I hadn't been scalded, then smiled and said, "It's fine." For the next month, he even set up a temporary office in the hospital room. He handled everything personally, guarding me almost constantly. But seeing him only irritated me. I asked for a caregiver, but he ignored me. Finally, I couldn't bear it anymore. "Did you sign the divorce papers the lawyer sent you?" He was helping me wash my feet, and at my words, his movements paused. "The water's a bit cold. I'll go get a fresh basin." He almost fled the room. I just felt weary. This wasn't the high and mighty Marcus I knew. Between us, or rather, between him and women, he was always the one to refuse. A woman's no would never make Marcus cling. He would only make her regret it. But he had changed now. Knowing how much he valued his reputation, I deliberately spoke up again during his company-wide video call. "Marcus, when are you going to agree to the divorce? Can you please stop bothering me? I'm so annoyed." The laptop crashed to the floor with a bang. In the deathly silence, Marcus's heavy breathing filled the room. His eyes were bloodshot, clearly enraged. His voice was filled with humiliation and incomprehensible anger. "Grace, for this past month, I've swallowed my pride to win your favor. Can't you see any of it? I'm making amends. I'm thinking about our future. But you're trampling the Marcus family's dignity in front of the entire company." Chapter 7. Everyone around was too terrified to breathe, even the nurses quietly retreated to the doorway. But I wasn't afraid at all. I took a step forward, meeting his gaze directly. "Can you stop being so emotional?" I had written him 99 love letters, each page filled with intense affection. He never replied once. He even treated them as a joke, telling his friends at parties and amusing his mistresses. Each time, he made me lose face. Whenever I wanted to talk to him about our daughter, or ask why he didn't come home, Marcus couldn't even be bothered to argue. He simply drove me to madness with his silence. Then, watching my tears, he would turn and leave, saying I was too emotional. But now, I just said, "I'm so annoyed," and he couldn't take it? Indeed, a boomerang only hurts when it hits you. Seeing my smile, Marcus's voice cracked from yelling. "Grace, how can your heart be so cruel? If it weren't for your negligence back then, how could our daughter—" "Fine, I won't bring that up. But to cause trouble out of jealousy, you dared to set fire to the storage room. Those were our daughter's mementos. My last memories of her. And the baby. Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant? Do you hate me so much? Hate me enough to force me to kill our child with my own hands as punishment?" He grew more and more agitated, his throat rumbling like thunder, no longer caring about manners or dignity. Looking at him like this, I suddenly understood. So that's what he thought. I had tried to defend myself in the fire, and I had told him I was pregnant. But he, with his heart and eyes solely on another woman, didn't believe a single word I said. He stood by coldly, watching me get beaten until I miscarried. Somehow, I no longer felt the slightest bit of sadness. Only a sense of absurd irony. I gently placed the charred notebook on the table. Marcus's angry shouts ceased abruptly. What is this? He involuntarily reached out and opened it. Teacher said I needed to jump very, very high to see Daddy. The last page was still stained with blood, my daughter's last words, written with all her strength. Mommy, I'm going to find Daddy. The tall man seemed to deflate, instantly kneeling on the floor. He murmured something vaguely. Watching his breakdown, I added a nearly cruel barb. When I first got pregnant with this child, I was very happy. I thought our daughter had returned. But then, I had a dream. In the dream, our daughter was melancholic. She said that Daddy never celebrated her birthday with her, and the kids at preschool called her a bastard with no father. She broke her bone, and the nurses cried for her, but her daddy was happily laughing with the new lady, never once coming to see her. She told me, Mommy, I don't want to do it again. Marcus clutched the notebook tightly, tears falling endlessly. As if holding it tight enough could bring his daughter back to life. He had never imagined that the truth was completely different from what he thought. His heart felt like it was tearing apart as he looked at his daughter's crooked handwriting. Coming to his senses, he crawled on his knees before me, grabbing my hand desperately, pleading bitterly. Grace, I truly know I was wrong. I'm sorry to you and Lily. My compensation isn't enough. I'll give you all my assets, okay, as long as you stay. You're an orphan. I'm afraid you'll be bullied if you leave me. But my stomach churned as if I had swallowed a fly, and I pushed his hand away. No need. William has given me enough money. I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Just as he was about to cling again, the door burst open with a clang, and the police walked in. Who is Marcus? Someone reported you for imprisoning a pregnant woman. Chapter 8 Tiffany called the police. But in the interrogation room, she anxiously chided the police. No, officer, you misunderstood. I did call the police, but I just wanted to see him. This is my boyfriend, we were just playing a game. Please don't arrest him. Marcus sat beside her, motionless, never refuting a single word. Finally, he posted bail and took Tiffany back to the villa. Tiffany had no idea what Marcus had just learned, even thinking he had changed his mind. She couldn't help but feel a little smug. Mr. Marcus, don't be angry. I heard. Grace can't have children anymore. She's too much trouble, she doesn't understand you at all, and she doesn't deserve you. I'm the one who understands you best, always thinking of you, never wanting you to suffer any injustice. Ah. A sharp slap instantly cut her off. Tiffany screamed as she fell to the ground. She looked up in terror, only to find the vast villa completely empty. Even the constantly accompanying bodyguards had vanished. In the shadows, Marcus slowly took off his suit jacket and rolled up his sleeves. There was no warmth in his eyes, only bone-deep hatred. I was wrong. Tiffany instinctively begged for mercy, but the punches rained down like a storm, eliciting scream after scream from her. At first, she tried to awaken a glimmer of pity in Marcus with false affection. Mr. Marcus, I love you. I truly love you, please stop hitting me. When she realized begging was foodie. She went completely mad, coughing blood and laughing maniacally. Yes. I'm cunning. I impersonated your savior. I sowed discord. I frightened your daughter. But weren't you wrong, Marcus? You let an orphan climb up, then wantonly humiliated her. Wasn't that just to give hope to young girls like us? You love watching us savagely rush to love you and fight for your favor. To be frank, you're just a pathetic wretch abandoned by your parents. Starved for love, yet obsessed with saving face. Do you think we fought tooth and nail because we truly loved you? Bah. We showed you one part affection but performed it as 10, all for the Marcus family's wealth. The only foolish woman who truly loved you was driven away by your own hands. Ha 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 ha, Marcus roared like a madman. Why did you lie to me? Bitch. Why did you harm me? You killed my 2 children. You made me lose my wife and children. Tiffany's screams gradually grew weaker. When the ambulance took her away, she was a bloody mess. Her once youthful and charming face was barely recognizable, only muffled, painful whimpers came from her throat. Tiffany was severely disfigured, blind in one eye. She had multiple fractures and would never walk again. Marcus paid $1 million and was sentenced to 5 years. In fact, with the Marcus family's wealth and connections, he could have spent more money to secure a suspended sentence or a reduced sentence, but he refused. I'll serve the time. I won't give her a single extra penny. 5 years later, the night before Marcus's release from prison. After tidying his bunk, he sat properly on a stool watching television. The screen was broadcasting the autism's charity ceremony live. Grace, in a luxurious, form-fitting velvet gown, as beautiful as a star, was tearfully holding a trophy. I established this foundation, firstly, to commemorate my eternal angel daughter, Lily, and to help more children like her. Secondly, to thank my beloved. The camera panned to an handsome, composed man beside her, his eyes full of admiration and love. Amidst cheers, he embraced her tightly. Marcus stared at the screen, unblinking, afraid to miss a single second. It was a beautiful dream he had pushed away with his own hands, now forever out of reach. That night, lying in bed, he vaguely heard a gentle melody from outside the window. Who can privatize the moon with love? Twilight fades, old dreams can't be found. Spilled waters never return, a beautiful fate turns to dust too soon. The singing was poignant and mournful, each word striking his heart. In the darkness, he silently shed 2 lines of hot tears. No one cared anymore.